Canadians, this is a call, a genuine emergency, not just for the moment, but for the country. Look at your reflection in ice-rimmed rivers and maple-stained mirrors. Remember the fire that shaped us into something titanic. We have always been more than empty stereotypes, more than maple syrup, wild geese and apologies. Our greatness runs in our veins, tough, smart, united. Now, while hate and division bleed through our headlines, let's remind each other what Canadian really means and why it's time to rise and reclaim that name. Our Second World War heroes carried the maple leaf with a fearless strength, one woven from every corner of our country. Over 1 million Canadians volunteered, men and women from every walk of life. Loggers from British Columbia forests, teachers from Montreal's stone halls, Inuit hunters from the Northern Lights, all answered the world's call. On Juno Beach, North Africa, and through the foggy fields of the Netherlands, our patchwork army stood as one. When the Dutch saw the crimson leaf on a soldier's sleeve, they saw not just a nation but hope made real, a promise that someone cared enough to fight, suffer and liberate. And it wasn't just on battlefields that Canada's spirit shone. While sons, fathers and brothers crossed oceans, women filled our factories with hard-earned pride, welding steel for tanks, fitting wings to bombers, assembling radios to turn battle plans into real victories. Each spark that flew from their torches was one more proof that Canada never shied from duty, no matter who held the tools. When war's fires cooled, that same spirit carried across empty tables and battered farm fields. We became the breadbasket and builder for a devastated Europe, sending food and supplies, proving to a bruised world that kindness and might could share a handshake. Canada's contribution didn't end in uniform. Our medical minds changed lives everywhere. Just over 2 decades before the war, Frederick Banting and Charles Best unlocked insulin, turning diabetes from a death sentence into a manageable disease. That breakthrough seeded a medical legacy. By the 1950s, Canadian researchers at Connaught Labs led the push to perfect polio vaccines, delivering millions of safe doses to protect children here and around the planet. Out of wartime struggles, NRC scientists pioneered radar that guided convoys across the Atlantic, saving thousands from U-boat hunts. In peacetime, their innovations leapt forward. Satellites that mapped continents, microscopes that unveiled hidden worlds, isotopes that rewrote cancer treatment. This wasn't luck. It was Canadians, thinking bigger, working harder, solving what others considered impossible. While our brains sparked change, our hands built unity. The St. Lawrence Seaway didn't just carve out a 3,700-kilometre trade route. It became the thread that stitched shoreline to prairie, west to east. The Trans-Canada Highway wasn't just asphalt. It was a promise, connecting towns and coasts and making sure every Canadian, from cowhands to codfishers, belonged to the same story. And in the booming post-war years, new Canadians, escaping war or dreaming of better lives, joined the build. Polish bricklayers, Italian welders, Chinese cooks, Métis carpenters, and Irish nurses all worked side by side. Hockey rinks rose where forests had stood only months before. Schools buzzed with children of every background, and hospitals welcomed new lives. And when the world seemed on the brink, Suez, 1956, Canadians stood where others stumbled. Lester Pearson's voice, calm and unbroken, guided nations back from the edge of war and earned a Nobel Prize for peace. We didn't lecture. We listened, eased tensions, mended divides. That belief, that peace beats power, became our gift to the world, from Parliament Hill to the farthest UN outpost. But today, those same gifts risk being forgotten. Division creeps in like frost between the stones. Hate, suspicion, and political games. Leaders stoke fears, feed lies, and twist history for a few loud headlines. But listen, this country was never built on anger, never built for spite. In 1957, with 3% unemployment, we saw shared prosperity. Everyone from newly naturalized Canadians to families who built cabins from pine logs felt pride and hope. When 1.1 million troops came marching home in 1945, they weren't divided by province or accent or origin. They walked together to rebuild something greater. This is the core of being Canadian. We're not defined by what divides us. We are stronger because of difference, not in spite of it. We are the nation that stormed beaches and rebuilt continents, that cured diseases and shared those cures freely, that spanned mountain ranges and rivers to make sure nobody got left behind, that stood for peace when others clamored for war. We are Quebecois, Newfoundlanders, Dene, Cree, Sikhs, Ukrainians, Lebanese, Filipinos, builders, fighters, dreamers, friends. In every generation, that flame burned bright, not just surviving, but thriving by lifting one another, refusing to leave our neighbours out in the cold. No government can take that legacy from us. No headline or angry voice can erase the decades we spent united, sharing the hard work, sharing the pride, and refusing to let hate define our future. Our past shows our potential. We have always been more than the sum of our differences. So look around. From the Rockies to the Maritimes, under the glow of northern lights and the shadow of city towers. See the welders and scientists, elders and students, warriors and peacekeepers. See the children rifling pucks across a frozen rink, laughing together behind the red and white of a maple leaf. That's still us. That's the Canada that made the world take notice. Reject the lies that say we're too divided. Refuse politics that profit from tearing us apart. Demand leaders who know the stories of our heroes and the hopes of our children, who see Canada not as a wedge, but as a bridge strong enough to bear all of us together. Rise up, Canadians. Reclaim the spirit that carried us through war and peace, that launched ideas and opened borders, that marched shoulder to shoulder from small prairie towns to faraway battlefields. We are the dreamers, the builders, the fighters, whose courage and kindness changed the world and can do so again. This is our time to unite, to hope, to be the country the world looks up to once more. We are Canada, and together nothing can break us.